Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to 3G's Garage. Got a little race recap, carnage report for you guys, more or less. This is the day after the Junker Sled. So we just did back-to-back weekends. 2 weekends ago we were in Minnesota at the ERX Motor Park for the Ditch Banger National, and we ran that one, had a great time. Yesterday we took all these sleds over to Three Lakes, Wisconsin for the Junker Sled weekend. I wouldn't say they're like totally different, but like they're different enough, two different enough events. Junker Sled is more of a tighter course, jumps, the whole, it's a lot rougher.
It's a shorter course, a lot rougher, and it put the hurting on pretty much all of our sleds. So
yeah, we came out of Ditch Banger with the 540s, all in pretty good shape. Keegan was dealing with some gremlins in his sled, causing it to kind of misfire and whatnot. So this video, we're just going to take you through basically the damage report. We do have GoPro footage from the heats, from both Ditch Banger and Junker Sled and the finals. And I'm going to put some stuff together with that in the coming weeks here, but just for today, we're going to kind of give you the rundown on the equipment, what happened. This is, we only had 2 races this year, so this Junker Sled kind of marks the end of the race season for the sleds. And in all honesty, it's kind of probably a good thing, because we did some damage to some of these old units here. So yeah.
all right, so this is my slow leafer weapon, the piss missile. Sadly, I think that was its last hurrah. She's pretty crusty already. You've probably seen the license plates for the belly pan, but the frame pretty much got toasted. If you come take a step back and eyeball the ski tips, they're towed way out, and they're pointing like this. But yeah, so a little bit of frame bendage. Apart from the frame being all twisted up, actually, we knew that crack was there, but it probably tripled in size from yesterday. So could weld that up and save this ET, but I think it's safe to move on, because we've already had to brace the tunnel back here, not just here, but straight across. So, but I mean, other than that, solid sled. It's so rotten and weak that, it's not safe to even run it anymore. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this one. It's pretty much done. So yeah. Okay, you guys have seen this sled a time or two before. This is the ADSS. Freshened up the engine in the off season, got it all cleaned up nice, put some new pistons in there, rehoned the cylinders, and this sled ran great before I did all that. Put everything back together, and now it's just got this crazy gremlin that I cannot for the life of me figure out. You can give it full, you'll hear in the GoPro footage, you give it full throttle, it goes like a bat out of hell, you let off, get back in it, and it just spits and backfires, and then it'll pick up. So, I mean, we tried a different secondary, stator, we clipped the plug wires, 3 different fuel pumps, rejet, went through the carb, and nothing has changed it at all. And it's super inconsistent, so it's really hard to nail down what the issue is, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out for next year. I think the plan is to only use this one for Junker Sled from now on. But there's not really much for carnage on this one. It did really great yesterday. The hood took a beating and is going to need to be repaired on both sides here. That's a little disappointing because I don't want to have to remake another hood. I lost all the fins pretty much out of this grill. Don't know how that happened. And the frame is pretty toasted on this one too, so I don't know. The old man is not for this idea, but I want to take the tub off and try to fix the bent frame on this one because I'm not ready to give up on this frame. So yeah, I think that's it for this one. It did really good yesterday, but didn't survive all the jumping. So
all right, guys, so next on the docket here for the damage report is my 540. It is the slowest of the three 540s, but unfortunately, well, I had a really good time running, good race in the fast leafer. I was a little tentative going into that one because there's a lot of animals out there in that race, but lined her up for the final, actually made the transfer, lined her up for the final, and literally got just completely dumped in the very first corner. I didn't even get to, run half a lap, not even. Very first corner, a guy literally just drove straight through me, put me sideways. I flew off the sled. Shoulder, collarbone's pretty sore this morning, but my sled got the worst end of it. So these 540s have kind of a tendency to be weak up in the handlebar area, and when the right side of the bar is smashed into the ground, it actually kind of tweaked them a little bit, bent them over to the left a little bit, broke my windshield. I got some new twisted sheet metal in the back. This I actually kind of bent back down already, but this is where the guy got into me. This was bent up almost all the way up. Snow flap was pushed under, obviously, and but yeah. Otherwise, I mean, the sled still runs great. For whatever reason, it doesn't really have the power on the low end or the mid range of either one of the other two, which is really disappointing. But at the end of the day, the boys are the ones that you can use that kind of power anyhow. So other than that, though, so we'll have to make a call on it. These bars aren't bent too bad, but may put a new set on for next year. I'm not sure what I'll do with the windshield. I like my machines to look nice, so not having a windshield kind of drives me nuts. But yeah, so definitely some stuff to do on this one maybe, and she'll race again though. So all right, next up on the damage report here is the infamous stacker enticer. This guy by far probably, well, at least in my mind, has the most character out of any of the sleds, gets the most attention. People just love this thing out there. When they see this pipe, everybody gets their cameras out and takes pictures, and people just love the thing. And I love it too, so. But it's been through the war too. These are all tech stickers. She's done some racing in her day, and it's very similar to Keegan's piss missile over there in the way that both of these sleds were like complete field rats, and the belly pans were completely rotten on them. This one I welded some sheet metal in. I've got a license plate or two, self-tappered into place, just like his. But the frame isn't nearly as bad on this one as it is on Keegan's, and I say yet, when you talk about that, because you don't know like the next jump or big ass bump or whatever that's going to kind of just buckle these things, because they are rusty underneath most of them, and otherwise, yeah, not a lot of damage on this guy. The thing runs great. For whatever reason, like this thing runs great, is super snappy, but like it just does not like to kick over if you let it sit. Like if I tried to start it now, we ran it yesterday, it would probably take 10 pulls. It's probably got a crank seal leak or something, but I mean straight junkyard engine on this thing. Just crusty and in every way, but just a blast to race and run. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the old stacker. She's probably ready to go. The toe on the skis is kind of out of whack. It's not as bad as Keegan's, but I think I'm plowing a little bit. Otherwise, yeah, that's the report on this one. We'll move on to Griffin's sleds next. All right, next up here for the damage report is Griffin's 540 XLV. This sled, just by the nature of Griffin and the way that he races, I would venture to say it's probably a safe bet to just say that this sled probably has taken the most abuse out of any of the sleds that we have. The amount of air that he was getting off of the tabletop jump yesterday on this sled, I would almost say by far, and there's some really good racers there, for a leaf springer, he was getting the most air, sending it the farthest, hardest out of anybody there. And probably top 5 out of everybody. And there was, the majority of the sleds at Junker Sled are like the Indy wedge chassis, so that they all have IFS and that. But moral of the story is he was just launching this thing yesterday like nobody's business. But yeah, I mean, this thing has been through the war. It kind of made it through the day pretty unscathed. You can just see like a lot of this stuff was existing, but like, you know, it's bodied up on a lot of other sleds, and you know, taking a beating over the time. This seat is just hanging on by a thread. You know, I don't even know how some of this stuff can even happen, but like this, the whole hood and everything is like shifted back. Like there's way more space here than there should be, and the whole hood sits back weirdly. You know, it's not supposed to be that far back. But yeah, so not a lot of like physical damage to this sled, but yesterday, actually at Ditch Banger, he was having some electrical issue or something that actually took him out of the final race. We kind of thought it was a kill switch thing, so we replaced that. You know, it's tough again because we don't have a good like test area. So, and we only had a week in between. So we replaced the kill switch. We thought that was going to fix it, but he was having like a really mean bog on this thing. Like it would not come out of the corners at all, and it's not the same as Keegan's. Excuse me. You know, we adjusted the needle height in the carburetor, you know, monkeyed with all the connections on the electrical end, just could not remedy what was going on. And it actually made him DNF yesterday in the main event with this one. So kind of a lot of work to do on this one, and it's the kind of work that's hard to know if you're getting it fixed or not, especially when most of the time we don't have snow here, so it's hard to test. So not really looking forward to trying to weed our way through the problems on this one or Keegan's 540, because they're kind of intermittent and they're difficult to understand. We didn't change anything on this one, so it's kind of a new problem that just came up, and I don't know if we need to replace the wire harness or what, but we're going to have to do some troubleshooting on this one for sure. But yeah, that's the wrap on this guy. She's still hanging in there by a thread. All right, well, we saved the worst for last, I guess, or the best, depending on how you look at it. This poor old sled here took a beating. Like it took a beating. It did come away with some hardware, and actually, like, I mean, the work that this thing did is definitely honorable. This is Griffin's slow leafer sled. It's a 300 chassis. It's got a 340 engine in it, but she took a beating. If you get underneath, you know, we haven't, the race was yesterday. We haven't pulled any of this stuff apart yet, but the rear axle, the track is offline. I'm assuming he blew the clips off of the one side. So like the nature of the junker sled is like the corners always get iced up, and basically the slow leafer is at the end of the day, so the corners are full of ice and there's berms. So like a lot of times you just, if you're trying to go fast, you're sliding across the ice and just slamming into the berms. This sled had a Kimpex aftermarket track that was, you know, probably came out, you know, 10 years after the sled was made. So it was a little weak to begin with. We had put some clips on it, and if you can take a look at it from this angle or whatever, you can see how bad the track is offline in the back there. The axle is twisted. Yeah, we've got some damage here. You know, the mount, the skid mount, the track is all bound up underneath there. And literally this sled, just to kind of give you some perspective here, Griffin ended up using this sled in the fast leafer final because of the bogging issues that we talked about on his 540. So he hopped on this one, ran this thing in the fast leafer final, and was in fifth place on this old thing. He was actually out in front of, you know, half the guys in the field on this
12.
thing. And yeah, better than half. And just launched it off the jump, came off camber, and just literally had to eject from the sled, and it just frickin' tumbled, and he tumbled, and we had about 15 minutes in between that wreck and the slow leafer start. So we kind of ripped around on this sled and fixed the handlebars, which we'll show you in just a minute. But like, he ended up getting on this thing and taking this thing for a second place finish in the slow leafer, which is pretty amazing after the crash that it went through. Yeah, you can just see, like, not even sure how some of this happened, but that there is a major hit of some sort. Yeah, I mean, these are pretty massive dents. These are the steel side panels, which, you know, can take some abuse. I mean, just look at the track here. Like, you can, if you get in here, you can see some of the clips are broken. We did, yes, you know, for those of you who are probably screaming, like, well, was the track misaligned? We did have the track aligned properly. The jam nuts on the adjusters were tight. We made sure of all that. But like, this slide is just eaten alive. And, you know, obviously the track is offline. She's rough under here. We're gonna have to drop all this and just take a look at it. I'll bring her down a little bit. We can talk about the rest of the damage to it. All right, so physical damage on the top side, mainly the bars, completely bent here, almost kinked. And this is massively better than when he came off the track with it after the fast leafer. We actually reefed on this. You know, the two of us pulled on this thing, bent this back down to this state, took it right back onto the track, and you know, I don't know. Like you said, your arms were killing you, right? Because like
Yeah,
this is the
it's not
bars are so
comfortable.
narrow. Another thing that happened is the gas cap must have came loose or like was jarred open or something. Because like explain that too. Like you were just running.
It must have unclipped or something, or came a little bit undone when I rolled it. And coming over the tabletop the first lap, I looked down in my pants and everything, the seat was covered in gas and the cap was wide open, and tried to get it down before I hit the table. Didn't, went over the tabletop and then got to the backside and was able to put it down. But that was
yeah, and if you don't know what these get, you know, like when this is open, it's just, you know, it just popped itself wide open, and he's racing on a rough racetrack, and he took it off a jump, and it's literally gas was just dumping everywhere. Yeah, we also had a windshield on it that is no longer with the sled, but I guess, you know, the thing that's so incredible about all this stuff, and I don't know, I'm smiling now, and I know that anybody who's raced is like, this is just a part of it. I'm not happy about the state that the sled ended up in, but despite all of this damage and things that happened to it, like within a 15-minute turnaround, this sled was back on the track. We bent the bars back. We thought that these were going to fail during the race, that might just crack right off. It hung in there, and he ended up taking it second place, and there was like 40 guys in that class. And this thing, literally, the track locked up and quit just after he crossed the finish line. Like,
it was, the track derailed on me in an icy berm. I slid it into it, and I think that's what happened. And that was on with one and a half laps to go. And as soon as I slid into that berm, I got out of it, got on the gas, and all I heard was just not good things coming from the skid. So I limped it the last lap and a half, and luckily I had enough of a gap to bring her home. But yeah, I don't know how it hung on. As soon as I pulled off, I had to get towed off the track because it just died on me.
Yeah, literally, you know, they usually put the podium guys in the races up on the tabletop, and they get to talk to the crowd and whatever. And it was like, that was the only bummer. Like, this girl, like, you know, raced so hard and did such a great job, but it couldn't make it up for the podium, you know, celebration up there, which was kind of a bummer, because like it totally deserved to be up there and you know, have the eyes on it for a little bit of glory. But yeah, so that is this one. Unfortunately, like, lots and lots to do, and we're going to get into that at some point. But yeah, it's worth it when you can bring home some hardware and, you know. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this this episode here, this little recap. Like I said, we had back-to-back weekends of racing. Absolutely had a blast at both events. Both events, literally top-notch. So much fun.
We got some good-ish footage from Ditch Banger. We got some really good footage from Junker Sled, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah. It makes it, for me personally, you know, just 3 guys in a little shop here in Wisconsin, you know, doing our thing, like a small little shop. It makes me feel really good when we can go to, especially like the Ditch Banger, which is, you know, the guy who won it was from Montana. There was a guy from Alaska. I mean, it's drawing a guy from the Carolinas. It draws guys from all over the place. And when we can have competitive equipment, and I can see, you know, my boys, you know, running up near the front at these events, like it makes me really proud of what we're doing. And, you know, I'm happy all of the hard work that we do, and, you know, it makes it all worthwhile at the end of the day. So we got a lot of work to do here between now and next year, and you know, that's just part of the game. So thanks for tuning in this time, and if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate that. We're growing slowly, and we want to continue that trend. We're going to keep giving you guys some footage to watch, and we really appreciate you tuning in.
Yep.
Till then, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Later.
Sled!